All right, welcome to your daily science news bulletin. We've got a lot to cover today. We're talking about some huge breakthroughs in health, a really critical update on our planet's oceans, and what's new on the International Space Station. So let's just dive right in with some major news in medicine. Okay, first up, we have some really significant and frankly reassuring news for any expecting parents out there. So, this new research was just presented at the Society for Maternal Fetal Medicine's 2026 meeting, and it gives us some really reassuring new data about the safety of mRNA COVID-19 vaccines for those who are pregnant. And what's so powerful about this study is just the scale of it. I mean, they tracked the development of 434 toddlers. About half were born to mothers who got the mRNA vaccine while pregnant, and the other half to moms who didn't. This gave them a really solid, robust comparison group to work with. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, after all these detailed assessments, and they looked at everything, speech, motor skills, behavior, social development, they found no meaningful differences between the two groups of kids at all. And that's just a really powerful and, again, reassuring finding for families everywhere. Okay, so that's fantastic news on the prevention front. But what about diseases we're still trying to get a handle on? How do we fight those? Well, it turns out new tech is offering a ton of hope for some of the most complex conditions out there. This is a huge leap forward in neuroscience. Researchers have actually used AI to map out the hidden genetic control centers that are driving Alzheimer's disease. You can think of it like they've just been given a completely new roadmap, and it's pointing to all these specific new targets for developing potential treatments. And in another really major development, scientists have found something pretty startling about pancreatic cancer. It turns out nerves don't just happen to be near the tumors. They're actively fueling their growth. This just fundamentally changes how we understand the way this cancer progresses, and it opens up a whole new avenue for fighting it by going after that nerve cancer connection. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. From the health of our bodies, we're now going to look at the health of our planet. And unfortunately, it's a pretty critical update on our global ecosystems. Yeah, a massive new international report has just come out, and honestly, it paints a really grim picture for the world's coral reefs. The main conclusion is that the impact of that record ocean heat we saw between 2014 and 2017, it was far, far worse than anyone realized. And this really puts the scale of the problem into perspective. We're talking about half of these absolutely vital ecosystems being severely impacted. This was all due to what scientists are now calling the worst global coral bleaching event ever recorded. Just wow. And it's easy to think of them as just these beautiful underwater gardens, but they are so much more than that. They support massive fisheries, they drive tourism, they protect our coastlines from storms. And their total value is estimated at nearly $10 trillion a year. So yeah, their health is directly tied to our own economic and environmental well-being. All right, we've still got updates from orbit and a really cool new way to track our planet's water cycle coming up. But hey, just a quick moment here. If you're finding this update informative, taking a second to like and subscribe really does help us bring you more of this daily science news. Okay, now let's look way up to the International Space Station because they've just had some new arrivals. So, a SpaceX mission just successfully delivered 4 new astronauts to the ISS. This is great news because it brings the crew back up to its full strength of 7. You might remember there was a rare medical evacuation last month, so this is a big deal. Now that the full team's on board, all that crucial research in those spacewalks can finally get back on schedule. And these 4 new arrivals really just highlight the amazing international collaboration that's still happening up in space. We've got astronauts from the US, from France, and from Russia all working together. It really puts the international in International Space Station, doesn't it? And for our last story today, we're talking about the tools of science itself. Specifically, a really powerful new way scientists have to understand our world. So get this, scientists have figured out a super powerful new way to track how water moves around the entire globe. They're using what are basically atomic fingerprints called isotopes. Now, all an isotope is a slightly heavier version of a normal element. And here's the cool part. As water evaporates and travels through the atmosphere, the ratio of these different isotopes changes in a really predictable way. It's like leaving a trail of breadcrumbs for scientists to follow.
And how did they do it? They combined 8 separate, really advanced climate models into one single, powerful simulation. What's groundbreaking here is that this is the first time anyone has brought multiple isotope-enabled models together like this. The result is a much, much more reliable picture of the global water cycle than we've ever had before.
Okay, but why does this actually matter to us? Well, it's a huge deal. This new tool is going to directly improve our ability to predict extreme weather. We're talking things like major floods and devastating droughts. It just gives us a much more accurate way to see what's happening and to understand the long-term effects of climate change. And that wraps up the latest in science for today. From the safety of vaccines to the health of our oceans and entirely new ways of seeing our world, these are the stories that are really shaping our future.
We'll be back with another update in 24 hours.